Imagine you're a big shareholder in a bank and you appoint a devious man as the CEO. He starts taking your money but gives you a cut. Both of you enjoy the extra money for a long time and suddenly the bank starts to run out of money. The CEO starts to take money from your bank account and puts it in his own pocket. And you can do nothing about it because, hey, if you call him out, you are going to the jail too. Man, that's gotta sting, right? He empties your wallet and all you can do is smile. The Trump campaign is sending text messages and emails to Republican donors across the country asking them to send him money so that the Republicans can win the two Senate seats in Georgia. But Trump is not sending any of that money to the campaigns of Senator David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. He is pocketing it for his own super PAC. So he asks money for funding the Georgia race but keeps all the money for himself. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Most people who give money are small donors who often send $5 to $200. Trump knows this, that pretty much everything that comes in are in small amounts. So he makes a slight adjustment to the fine print and it says, unless you give more than $8,000, 75 cents on the dollar goes to my super PAC. 25 cents on the dollar goes to the RNC. So how much David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler get? Nothing, like literally nothing. So the Republicans saved Trump's ass from getting impeached. They even joined his chorus when he went around saying the election is fraudulent. Some senators even had Twitter-worthy statistical evidence. So they helped Donald Trump every way possible. And now Trump is pocketing money that would have otherwise gone into defending the two Senate seats in Georgia. If Mitch McConnell called Trump and asked Trump to stop it, Trump will be like, it is what it is, Mitch, because what's in it for me? I'm not the one on the ballot. Man, that's gotta hurt Mitch's feelings. Remember this guy? His name is Newt Gingrich, a former Speaker of the House and a man-child who once shut down the government and sent hundreds of thousands of people home because Clinton asked him to sit in the back of the airplane when coming back from Israel. Republicans have a closet filled with man babies and they keep coming out one after another. So this crybaby tweeted a couple of days ago, why is Georgia Secretary of State Raffensperger working so hard to add drop boxes and take other steps to make it harder for the Republicans to win? So there it is. Republicans accept that they want to do everything to remove drop boxes so that people cannot vote easily. The only way for them to win is if they can make it harder to vote. What Brad Raffensperger has done is he has made it easier for people to vote by mail. He has added more drop boxes and some of them I think are even open 24 hours a day. So you fill out your ballot, find the nearest drop box and drop your ballot whenever you can, boom, done. If it's that easy to vote, then a lot of people will vote. And that's a big problem for the Republican Party because they don't have the tree that will keep dropping uneducated white voters as and when they want. The GOP even filed multiple lawsuits asking the courts in Georgia to restrict vote by mail for the Senate runoffs. But ouch, the judges were like, oh no, not again, and the lawsuits were rejected. The judges said, you had all this time, you did not ask for a relief, and you want me to restrict voting when people have already received the ballots and a lot of them have mailed their votes. Sorry, we cannot change anything now. And they kicked the GOP asses out of the court. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are spending pretty much all their time on reading and rereading CVs and interviewing candidates. Every single candidate has to sit down for an interview with Kamala Harris. And then they have to talk to the old man Joe Biden, who I'm being told keeps asking a ton of questions. And even before you get to that point, Biden's transition team would have gotten more information about you than Facebook and Google search. The Biden transition team now has more than 45,000 candidates in their database, from where 9,000 candidates were moved higher, and out of that, more than 2,500 candidates are already vetted. Wait, seriously? What the heck is Biden doing? Isn't he supposed to be so old and so tired? Why is he Zoom calling hundreds of people? And when did qualifications become a requirement to join the White House? And why are they vetting people for conflict of interest? Can you steal money from people who are giving us money? Yes, sir. Then you're my campaign manager. Can you screw up the immigration process from the inside? Yes, sir. Then you're my White House advisor. Have you ever treated infectious disease in your life? No, sir, not even once. then you will advise me in handling the worst infectious disease ever. How qualified are you? I am a football coach and everyone knows me. Then I will endorse you as my Senate candidate. What do you know about the Middle East? It's in the Middle East. Then you will be in charge of the Middle East peace process. I started to think being unqualified is the only qualification needed to be part of the White House, and you get bonus points for having conflict of interest. But sadly, the Biden administration is trying to change everything. How dare he personally read profiles of 130 candidates? It's an invasion on privacy. Can someone get me Rand Paul to stop this invasion of privacy? Are you tired of watching Trump lose over and over? He lost the election on November 3rd. Then the networks called him the loser on November 7th. Then Georgia recounted so many times and confirmed that Trump lost every single time. He lost Wisconsin like twice in 2 weeks. Michigan GOP said F you and certified that Trump is a loser. The courts called him the loser 56 times before he went to the Supreme Court to overturn his loser status, and the Supreme Court told him twice that he is the certified loser. But wait, his losing streak is not over.
What is the update now that we're at this late date in terms of the challenges in other states and investigations that are ongoing?
Yeah, there's still ongoing litigation in Arizona. There are a few other appeal options in Nevada and elsewhere. So the president's litigation is ongoing. Make no mistake. Also, in the 4 states that we saw a lot of problems in with those big metro areas, the only metro areas where Joe Biden beat Hillary Clinton, ironically, in those states, there has been an alternate slate of electors voted upon that Congress will decide in January. So we will see what happens. Ongoing litigation. This president's a fighter. He's not giving up. He will fight for the forgotten men.
Fight for the forgotten men? Is she talking about Donald Trump, the man who 80 million people said get the hell out of the White House? Trump is not going to be happy. I am tired of watching him lose, but looks like Trump is not tired yet. He just wants to lose one more time and hopes to lose as big as he can. The electors have met and certified the results on December 14th. 306 electors voted for Biden and 232 electors voted for Trump. Now, they will all send these votes to the Senate and the Congress. The 2 chambers will sit together on January 6th and start counting the votes state by state. But the votes from each state can be contested during the counting process if one member of the Congress and one member of the Senate file a written request to contest the result. The football coach who became the senator of Alabama is already ready to be that one senator. And don't rule out Rand Paul and Ron Johnson. They are going to contest the votes from at least few states during the counting process, but don't worry, it's once again a big nothing burger. After the written request to contest is submitted, the Congress and the Senate will take a break, discuss it, and come back and decide together what to do about the contest. For each of the contested states, the chamber will have to vote and then they can move on to count the next state. The Republicans will have only 50 senators in the chamber on January 6th, and the Republicans need all of the 50 votes to contest the result, which is not going to happen as Mitt Romney will not vote for it, and so will Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. Even McConnell has indicated that he is not ready to pull 4 rabbits out of his tiny hat. I read the Washington Post quite regularly. I think they are worth my money and time, and I spend it there. But you know who thinks it's not worth the money and time? Washington Post. Wait, why would Washington Post think they are not worthy? I think it's lack of confidence. Not once, not twice. I think more than 3 times in a span of 2 months, I think I have read stories on the Washington Post where they tried to throw a shade at New York Times and Politico, their rival news companies. After writing about Trump so many times, I guess the Washington Post is drunk with Trump. You don't win an NFL game by talking down your opponent in the pre-match interview. You win them by playing the game and playing it hard. Editors of Washington Post, please zip it. This is not worth your time. You guys have a role to play in the democracy. And it's a big one. Forget NY Times and Politico and concentrate on your own articles. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you like it, please subscribe.